Here is the question. What is TypeScript? What are the advantages of TypeScript over JavaScript? After watching this video, you can easily tell any interviewer that why we need TypeScript in this world. Let's understand with the help of a diagram. See, here we have TS as the TypeScript, and you can see TypeScript have type system, enums, generics, interfaces and many more things. But JavaScript do not have those things. So this is the most important advantage of TypeScript over JavaScript. But the thing is, browser do not understand TypeScript code. So Angular compile or convert all the TypeScript code in JavaScript first and then run it on browser. Because browser do not understand TypeScript and it understands JavaScript only. Now let's see all the points about TypeScript. What is TypeScript and why we need TypeScript? See, TypeScript is a strongly typed language while JavaScript is loosely typed language. TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript, which means all the JavaScript code is also a valid TypeScript code. TypeScript has object-oriented features like classes, interfaces, etc. Whereas JavaScript do not have object-oriented features. TypeScript detect errors at compile time, whereas JavaScript detect errors at runtime only. Now let me show you the reasons behind all these points. First point is TypeScript is a strongly typed language. See, this is a TypeScript file, strongly typed.ts. Here we have declared a string with let keyword and then assigned a string value to it. Now if I will try to assign an integer value to it like this, then TypeScript will show compile time error. That means this variable is strongly typed to a string now and cannot be converted to any other type. This is a very good thing. Otherwise, in future anyone can assign any different type value to it. And that will not show any compile time error, but will break the application in runtime because that is not the correct way, right? Now JavaScript is not strongly typed and it is loosely typed. Let me show you this. First compile and convert this TypeScript file to JavaScript file. For that, open terminal, type tsc strongly typed.ts strongly typed.js. This will convert this TypeScript file to JavaScript file. Yes, there is an error in this TypeScript file, but still the JavaScript file will be created. Now see, here in the JavaScript file which is created, there is no compile time error. And you can assign any integer value or any other type to it, which is not a good thing and which means JavaScript is loosely typed. That means TypeScript is a strongly typed language and that has the advantage over JavaScript. Second point is TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript, which means TypeScript have all the things which JavaScript have. In addition, TypeScript have some extra things. See, here is the JavaScript code inside the TypeScript file, main.ts, right? This is the JavaScript code, right? Now let me compile this TypeScript file to JavaScript file. Open terminal, type tsc main.ts main.js and press enter. And here the main.js file is created, right? And if you see the code of the main.js file, this is similar to the main.ts file. So that means that valid JavaScript code is also valid TypeScript code. And in addition to that, TypeScript provides some additional features like classes, interfaces over JavaScript, which means TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. Third point is TypeScript has object-oriented features. See, this is test.ts file and we have a class and a method inside it. Now who all are from C# Java background, for them it will be very easy to understand. If I will convert this TypeScript file to JavaScript file, For that, open terminal, type tsc test.ts test.js, press enter, and then this test.js file which is created. See, this is bit complex code to understand. That's why we say TypeScript has object-oriented features like classes, inheritance, encapsulation, etc. etc., which is a very good thing from building software's point of view. Now the last point is TypeScript detect errors at compile time. This I already explained in strongly typed language point, right? TypeScript here detect errors at compile time and JavaScript don't. That is another advantage of TypeScript over JavaScript. See, here I covered all the main advantages of TypeScript. If you have any queries about this question, then please post in the comment section. Here is a very short question. How to install TypeScript and check its version? Many people think that TypeScript is the part of Angular, and in a way it is wrong. TypeScript is a free and open source programming language created by Microsoft. Angular just uses it, and similarly other frameworks can also use TypeScript. So basically, TypeScript is an independent language and can be installed separately. Now here is the command which you can use to install TypeScript on your system. npm install --g TypeScript. For Mac, just write sudo before this. Let me just show you. Open the command prompt, paste the command npm install --g TypeScript and press enter. Now it is installed. Now to check version of TypeScript, type tsc --version. tsc means TypeScript compiler, and then --version is version, and press enter. Here is the TypeScript version installed in your machine now. So now your system is ready for writing TypeScript programs. Not from interview perspective, but it is good to know how things start. Now let's move to the upcoming questions. Now we will cover some questions of TypeScript language features and keywords. What is the difference between let and where keyword? Yes, we can use both let and where keyword in both TypeScript and JavaScript. Now let me show you the code. Here is my blank VS Code. Now I will create a new file and will name it let-var.ts and press enter. Now I have a program which I will paste here. This is a simple function which is similar in TypeScript and JavaScript both. Here inside this function we have a loop which will just increment the I with var keyword and then print it, right? And ideally this I variable should only be available inside the loop because it is declared also inside the loop. So it should be available only inside the loop, or I can say the block. But because of this var keyword, it is also available outside the loop also. See, here also it is showing no error. Now let me run the program. Open terminal, then write the command tsc let-var.ts pipe node main.js. Now here what is this command is doing? This tsc command will transcompile this TypeScript file to its JavaScript version, let-var.ts to let-var.js. And then this node command will run the let-var.js, which will give you the output. Now see, first the statement inside the loop is printed with the I variable value, and then outside the loop also printed with the I variable value again. So I variable is available out of the block also, which means its scope is global, but only inside this function. Remember, even var keyword variable scope will not go beyond this function, only inside the function. But yes, it is out of the block, and that is not a very good thing. Now let me change this var keyword to let keyword. Now I variable is not available outside the for loop, and here is the compile time error. And ideally this is the correct behavior. A variable life should be limited to the block from where it is declared. You can say let keyword is the new and the better version of the where keyword. The conclusion and definition is where has global scope inside function, but let keyword scope is limited to the block only from where it is declared. This is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section. Here is a quick and short question. What is type annotation in TypeScript? Let me show you in the code. Here is my blank VS Code. Now here I will create a new file and will name it typeannotation.ts and press enter. File created. Now here you can see the variable with let keyword. And here we will assign a number value, then a string value, and then the boolean value. And ideally this is not right. Like assigning the same variable different data types is not right, but still here we don't have any compilation error. This file will definitely convert into a valid JavaScript file, but in future the application will break, right? So this is not the right way. So now this is better to give this variable a type here. So we will give a type number to this variable, and this is what we call type annotation. The definition is type annotation is assigning a variable or object a type which will show the compile time error if we will try to assign this variable a different type. So this compile time error will reduce the future defects, and this is good for us. This is the answer of this question, and I hope it makes sense to you. Here is the question. What are built-in primitive and user-defined non-primitive types in TypeScript? So like every other language, we have types in TypeScript language also. These types are divided in two categories. One is built-in, or we can say primitive or basic types, and other is user-defined, or we can say non-primitive data types. Here you can see which data type comes in which category. As you can see, built-in types are used to store simple data such as string, number, boolean, etc. Whereas user-defined types are used to store complex data like array, enum, classes, etc. Now let's go to VS Code and see some types there. The first one is quite simple, boolean, and it will evaluate to true or false. Then other is again simple, number. Then we have string type. Then we have this array type. In this particular case, all the stored values will be stored of number type. At a time, we can store only one type of values inside the array. Not like one value is number and the other value is string. That is not possible. Now suppose we want this kind of things where one number is a string and another is a number. For that we have this tuple type. Here we can declare a tuple like this and then initialize it like this. Position should be matched like string to string and number to number. If we will switch this position, then it will throw a compile time error. So this is the tuple, and these are some of the types which are commonly used in the TypeScript, and in upcoming question we will cover some more types of the TypeScript. Here is the question. What is any type in TypeScript? This is the most used type in TypeScript. That's why it is very important to know. Let's go to the code. Suppose we have this scenario. We have a variable here, but we don't know what is its type at the time of declaration of the variable. It can be a number or a string or can be a boolean in future. The type of this let variable will be decided dynamically at the runtime. And you don't want compiler to do any kind of type checking on this variable. If you can see right now also there is no compile time error. Why? Because if you hover over this I variable, then you can see this unassigned variable is implicitly set to any type. Implicitly means automatically or by default. So this variable right now is of any type. But to look it better and to make the application more readable, it is recommended to set the type to any, explicitly like this. Now you have the flexibility to do anything with this variable. You can assign it any data type, or you can make it as a function also. Even you can assign any property to it like this. In short, this any can be used for anything and TypeScript compiler will not check it. The definition is, when a value is of type any, then no type checking will be done by the compiler and the flexibility is there to do anything with the variable. This is the short story about the any type. Here is a very important tip for you. If you are learning any technology or whatever keywords, functions, classes, property you find, first find their real meaning in simple English and you will understand 90% of the thing. For example, in this case, what is the meaning of any? It's mean anything, right? So here also any data type, right? So this is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section. Here is the question. What is enum type in TypeScript? Let me explain this in code. Suppose you have a family of constants like this. Family means they are related. Here all these are nothing but the directions only. So in a way they are family members and direction is the family name. Now in order to use them anywhere and for simplicity, you will assign the number to them like this and access them anywhere like this. This is fine, but suppose these constants are in some other file or you have to access this constant in this file or any other file from the other file, then it will be bit difficult to do. Now to make it simple, we will have enums. Enums are nothing but the named constants. For the same scenario, we will define the enum like this and we access it directly like this, where direction dot. See, the IntelliSense is showing you all the direction. Isn't it beautiful and isn't it accessible from anywhere like in another file or anywhere? So this is simple and clean programming. Also, you no need to assign any number to the enums. It will automatically assign the first value as 0, which is the default number of the start in enum. And the rest of them will be automatically 1, 2 and 3. If you want to start with some other numbers like 1, then assign it like this and rest of them will automatically become 2, 2, 3, 4. So enums makes your application good and more readable. If you hover over this direction.east here, then its value is 4. So that is the short story about enum, which allows to define a set of named constants. This is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section. Here is the question. What is the difference between void and never types in TypeScript? Let's try to understand with the help of the code. Here we have a function which will just print something but will not return anything, or you can say it returns empty. Therefore, by default its return type is void, and to make it look better we will use void here like this. So void means no type. It is used when the function will return empty. Now what is never type then? Suppose we have this normal function here and we will set its return type as never. Now here is a compile time error. Hover over it. A function returning never cannot have a reachable endpoint. Meaning this function will never execute fully, therefore it will not return anything. Void in a way return empty, but this never will return nothing. So that is the difference. Now the point is, what is the use of never then? Never is very rarely used and mostly it is used to throw errors like this. In this case, you are not returning anything but throwing the error only. So never means it will return never and it is used to throw error only. This is the answer of this question. If you have any queries, then please post in the comment section. Here is a quick and short question again. What is type assertion in TypeScript? Okay, so let's see the example first. See, here I declared a string variable and assigned a value to it. Now if I will type my name and press dot, then here the compiler is giving the suggestions of methods and properties which are possible with a string variable, right? But sometimes compiler will not able to identify the type of the variable. For example, if I will remove the type string of the variable like this from here, then if I write my name dot, then here no suggestions are coming from the compiler because this my name is now of type any. Here you can see if I hover, the type is any here. And compiler is not capable to understand from this line that now the type of this variable is set to string. So compiler is not able to identify this. So now what will happen? For that we have to tell the compiler that this is a string variable now. How we can do that? For that we have to set the type of this variable like this inside the angular brackets and then put the whole thing inside the round brackets. And now if I will type dot again, then here we can again see the suggestions. And now we can set this like this. So now the compiler knows the type of the variable, and that is we call type assertion. Type assertion is a technique that informs the compiler about the type of the variable. This is the answer of this question, and if you have any queries, then post in the comment section. Here is a quick but important question. What are arrow functions in TypeScript? In JavaScript, if we want to return a value from the function, then we write the code like this, right? This is an anonymous function. The English meaning is function with no name. Here this function will receive parameters a and b, and then it will multiply it and set it as the value of this x variable. Now to make it simpler and with less code, we will use arrow function. Let's see how. First, then copy and paste the same code here below, then change x to y, then remove this function keyword from here and put this arrow operator like this. Now for simplicity, we can also remove these curly braces and semicolon, and also only if it is one line of code, then we can remove the semicolon. And that is the syntax of arrow function, which uses this arrow operator and do the same thing with less code which we were doing earlier here. Now if you are from the C# background, then you know these are also called lambda expressions in C#. Also, if we do not have any parameters, then we can remove the parameters from here also. Now let me put it back. Finally, the definition is arrow functions are the shorthand syntax for defining the anonymous functions. This is the answer, and if you have any queries, then please ask me in the comment section.